Welcome to the Slow Living Collective podcast. I'm Amy, wife, mother of two and devoted homemaker. Join me on this journey as we explore the beauty of slow and simple living, where life unfolds at its own unhurried pace. I'll take you through my experiences of slowing down, tending to our allotment plot, finding joy in the little things and making the most of our small home. Together we'll learn to live in harmony with the ever-changing seasons, discovering the magic that lies in embracing the present moment. So let's embark on this enriching adventure towards a more intentional and fulfilling life. Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Slow Living Collective podcast. I'm Amy, and today's episode is going to be all about low toxic living, and I am so excited to welcome Kayleigh onto the show with me. We are going to talk about all things low toxic, how you can start living sort of more naturally and more low toxic in your home. I know this is something that so many people are interested in, and it's something I get asked all the time on Instagram, so I'm really excited to share this episode with you guys. Hey Kayleigh, I'm so excited to have you here on the podcast today, and I can't wait to dive into this episode. Before we jump into all the good stuff, do you want to introduce yourself and share a little bit about who you are?
Yes, so I'm Kayle. Thrilled to be here on this podcast as it's my first one. And thank you, Amy, for having me.
You are more than welcome.
So I'm from the West Midlands, as you could probably tell from the accent. I'm a home educating mum of 4. So in addition to being a mum, I'm actually the founder of Kayle at Home. So this is something really close to my heart as well. So I'm excited to share about with you, really.
Excellent. So let's kick it off with all the basics. What started you on the path to low toxic living, and what kind of positive changes did you see in your life and also your well-being as a result of that?
Well, what started it was chickens. So I had chickens for my birthday quite a few years ago, actually. We wanted to kind of eat a bit more healthy. We started growing our own vegetables, our fruit, kind of like stepping away from pesticides and stuff like that. Healthier for the kids as well, really. And then obviously that went on to more chickens. And selling eggs locally, because a lot of people notice the difference between supermarket eggs and fresh, free range, organic eggs, really. And then that developed into keeping bees and go to bigger plot, getting more vegetables, more fruit. And then what really took it off was my son got sick. About 3 years ago, he was diagnosed with an autoimmune disorder. And everything flared him up, which was really scary, especially because it was his kidneys that was actually affected, and the rash kind of come all over him. So that would be anything from washing powder was setting it off. Then there was things in your home that you use every single day that you don't think twice about using until it affects somebody the way it did affect him, really. My daughter always had eczema, but it's kind of one of those skin conditions the doctor kind of goes, oh yeah, just use this cream or use that, without realising that these things that you're using daily are actually what's causing the flare-ups in the first place. So that's what really kicked Kayle at home off. My son's still autoimmune, but he doesn't have flare-ups like he had flare-ups. So yeah, that was the start of skincare, really.
Excellent. Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? Like how much is in our everyday stuff. Like when you actually like look into it, even things like you know, like cleaning products and skincare. And I actually went through my house with, I don't know, is it the Yucca app?
Yes. And then you go in your bathroom cabinets and you're realising after the house there's nothing left. It's when the other half comes home and goes, where's all my stuff?
Yeah, I'm like, I've left you the few things that won't kill you on the shelf.
Yes.
Yeah, I went through everything, and I was like scanning it. I was like, oh my goodness, that's like carcinogenic, and that's all sorts of like allergen, just irritants, allergens, everything, you know, not cream disruptors. Ugh.
Well, it was the stuff I bought for my daughter for her eczema, and it kept coming, can cause flare-ups in eczema. I was like, well, I bought it for that reason.
Yeah, I know. I've had stuff like, I'm a migraine sufferer, and I'm not on medication at the moment because I'm breastfeeding, so there's like nothing you can do. And it's actually this period of time of having like two very close pregnancies and breastfeeding has made me realize that actually I can style it out if I need to. But like my migraine medication, like one of the side effects is it could cause migraines, and it's like, well, what's the point in that?
Yeah. Yes,
And
no, it's scary.
it is, and there's so much stuff. I know when I looked at like shower gel before and things like that, and it's like might cause like irritation, and it's like I just want to wash myself.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, I don't
But no
want.
one tells you either, though, because I mean, I use skincare stuff that my mum bought. You don't think twice of checking because you just think it's like kind of a family home staple.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's so much. There is honestly, like when I went through with that Yucca app, I was like, oh my, it's like nothing remains. And
No.
it's such a worry because like you will pick things, just like anything. It could be anything, shampoo, toothpaste, whatever. And you suddenly, like when you actually look into the ingredients, you're like, goodness me, you know like why is all of this stuff in there? And I know there's like a lot of preservative and
Yeah.
fragrances, and I noticed particularly now, like we ditched as much as humanly possible out of our house. Anything that was carcinogenic was like out
Eggs. Yeah.
immediately. Endocrine disruptors gone, irritants, mostly I would say most of our stuff I would say is as clean as possible.
Yeah.
And yeah, but some of those things, because it just affects like our hormones, and it's
It really
crazy.
does. Exactly, yeah, because I mean, I suffered with really sensitive skin, like, throughout, or really dry skin, like, I'd wash myself, and then it looked like my skin was starving for water, like, within a couple of hours. Even if I moisturised, I was exactly the same, but just the swap has made such a difference.
Yeah, I even went through like my makeup and everything, and it's like
Yes.
now, I mean, we're busy parents, like actually going out where I get to
Yeah,
put makeup on is actually quite rare. But on the odd chance that I do get to go out, I'm always like, I've got no makeup.
yeah.
So I'll just have to go as I am.
Which is nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, do like sometimes I'm like, I do need to get around to like thinking about that because it would be nice.
Yeah. It would. Yeah, I'm gonna say I haven't got any since clearing mine out.
Yeah.
Um, it's just getting the time.
Yeah, and it's like I know that what I want to buy is, I mean, I haven't even looked into it, but I know I want it to be like, as clean as possible, and that
Clean as
comes with,
possible.
that comes with like, oh, I haven't got the time to research it, so I'm just going to go without until such
Yeah.
time. Yeah, all of my, I just used to like think like all of my makeup. I didn't wear it much anyway, but there was a period of my life where I wore a lot of makeup
Yeah.
because I worked as an air hostess, so I had to. And it's like I used to have like what they called, like the acrylic nails. So I didn't have
Yes.
to paint my fingernails because you used to have your fingernails coloured matched your lipstick. So but if you had French tips, you could get away with like whatever colour lips, well not whatever, but whatever colour lipstick.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I used to have acrylic nails. I mean, that must have been grim. I don't even want to know.
No.
And like foundation, like my face used to be layered because I never got enough sleep either. So it was, yeah, it's just, it is grim. And so I just think, like we're putting all, especially women, we're putting all of this stuff
Yes.
on our skin and into our bodies all the time.
I was gonna say, because I mean, every time I wore makeup, as soon as I removed it, I'd have breakout.
Mm.
Guaranteed. It's obviously my skin not liking it. But if you think about washing your hair, then going in the shower, then you applying that, that is a lot for one
Yeah.
day.
Yeah, it's
as well
funny.
as washing your clothes.
Yeah, it's funny actually, because thinking about it, I used to get like I would it's not wasn't eczema, I wouldn't say. I went to doctors before and they were like, "Bleh, it's just some sort of irritation." But like a patch of really sort of dry, irritated skin on my like arm. And it would only be in the summer, which was weird. But always if I washed my hair in the shower, um, and had, essentially shampoo like dripping all over the rest
Yeah,
of my body. And when I switched to I didn't switch out my shampoo then, but I switched to just doing my hair like over the bath and not having it done in the shower. And so it's just like things like that, it's irritating.
yeah.
Shampoo isn't for your body. Shampoo isn't even really for your hair.
But how many times have you turned the label round and actually read what was in it?
Yeah,
We just kind of see the front and go sensitive skin or fragrance free, and we just pick it
yeah,
up, and we
yeah,
don't think to turn it over and go, actually, I don't really like that list of chemicals.
yeah. What is this, like, acetate 38, whatever it is?
Yeah.
Like, should I be putting that onto my head? Should I be putting that anywhere near my body?
Are you ready to slow down and embrace simplicity even in the midst of life's imperfections? I've got just the thing for you. Discover my free guide, Imperfect Slow Living, designed to help you find peace and simplicity in your everyday life, no matter what it looks like. Slow down and breathe, unwind and rediscover calm no matter how hectic life gets. Simplify your life one step at a time with practical tips. You don't have to be perfect to enjoy the beauty of slow living. It's time to make a change. Visit theslowlivingcollective.com/slowliving to download your free guide today. Start your journey towards a more deliberate and intentional life. Slow living isn't about perfection. It's about finding peace in the imperfections of life. Download your guide and embrace a simpler, slower, and more meaningful life. That's theslowlivingcollective.com/slowliving.
What are some everyday things that you have found, like, really, other than what we've already discussed, like really sneak toxins into our lives? And what I guess is your advice to help people spot them and maybe get rid of them, to live more healthily?
Cleaning products is a big one just
Mm,
because of we use them every day, not only like just on your household items, we personally use them, like,
yeah.
when you're wiping your sides down, looking on the back. If you can't say the words, you probably shouldn't be using any of those anywhere near your home. And obviously personal care items fall under that because, yeah, we use them every single day. I mean, we're not going to get rid of toxins in the world,
Yeah,
but reducing your exposure to them, that is something we can do. Because when you're not bombarded every single day, these problems like either skin irritants or health conditions, you probably find that they will ease up because
yeah.
you don't realize what's actually in everything you use.
Yeah, I used
Um,
to suffer really bad from cystic acne, really, really bad, like through my 20s. Not as a teenager at all, but through my 20s. And then I haven't had a cystic acne breakout in probably like 5, 6 years. Like, it used to be so bad on my chin, so bad. And then, like, and it used to be like, cystic acne so deep. It used to be like, I just want to
yes.
squeeze it and get it out. It's a bit grim, but you can't get cystic acne out. There's no point in even
No.
trying. So yeah, but I went to the doctors. They used to give me like this topical antibiotic, which always worked really well. And then actually now it's just I stopped. I guess I don't know if it ties in with me stopping using everything, but yeah, now I don't suffer at all. I don't have any problems with my skin.
Yeah, but you're saying that I didn't suffer when I was younger, but as soon as I hit my like middle 30s, oh my gosh, I've never had acne like it. And I was like, well, where's that come from?
Yeah.
But the change in diet, and I mean, like, I did go to the doctors and I did have like hormonal imbalance.
Mm.
So, but that stopped as soon as swapping out. my deodorant, everything that we made at home, like those little changes slowly started and it just kind of like fell away.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's amazing how quickly actually something changes.
It does, yeah.
And so like we changed out our cleaning products and everything, and now when I walk down the cleaning product aisle in the supermarket, I'm like, whoa, it stinks down here. It's like, you know, so much artificial fragrance,
Yes.
everything.
Yeah, because that was another thing. I was going to say, like, silly things like that. I mean, you know yourself, like, half the air fresheners probably, if it's got those chemical names, I mean, how can it smell like that particular flower if it doesn't even come from that?
Yes, yeah.
Like choosing essential oils and stuff like that. I mean, obviously they still can cause skin irritants, but there is a list that you can pick for lower irritant value.
Yeah.
Silly things like that, or mix it, dilute it with water. Diffusers are great.
Yeah.
There's a lot you can do and still have your home smelling great.
Yeah.
And
And
it's actually cheaper.
yeah, I mean, you know, like those plug-in air fresheners. I mean, I never really had them a lot. So prior to living with my husband, I lived back home with my parents, and my mum's also a migraine sufferer like me. So actually, a lot of, you know, artificial fragrances, a lot, even like we'll get a migraine just standing behind someone in
I would
perfume.
say, yeah, yep.
My mum's nose is often like, someone's put too much perfume on today. And it's just like, you know, we can really, really smell it. And so we've never really been those kind of people, you know, like no reed diffusers and
See, no, same.
and so, but like you say, you know, essential oils, things that you can do.
Yeah, because I mean, like, of having bees, like we have a lot of beeswax candles, and
Yeah.
that is something I've started adding onto our website, just because they're clean burning.
Yeah.
There's no nastiness, and it's just beeswax.
Yeah. And that's so, that, you know, that's so much better. It's funny, I was actually looking at beeswax candles this morning because I was talking to somebody who was like, oh, I think I might make some beeswax candles. And I was like, oh, that's good, because I do like burning candles. I haven't burnt a candle other than I made one at like a Wild Women event, which was like beeswax and petals and a little bit of essential oil. Other than that, you know, I don't have any candles for that reason, because I'm not burning those smelly toxic things in my house.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, I have done like a Christmassy one, it's got like cinnamon bark and stuff like that. And the kids just love doing that anyway. So, and it is nice to have a candle on in the
Yeah.
house.
But yeah, you know, winter time, it always feels
Yeah,
nice
it
to
does.
make it a little cozier.
And it's funny because I have no sense of smell. So, and so the kids are my experiment. Sorry, anything I make, it's like, does this smell nice? Or does this smell nice? But I remember being in the supermarket and doing the softener, going, smell that one.
Yeah.
But then thinking back, and you just think, oh my gosh, like not realizing what was you were using.
Yeah, if I look back and I think of all the things that over, you know, I'd say like the last 5, maybe even longer, you know, over all that time that we've got rid of.
Yeah.
And I just think, like, sometimes I'll be on Instagram and I'll like come across some, like, you know, people like who have accounts where it's like focused on cleaning, and I'm like, no, chemical, stop.
Yes.
But it's funny actually, because now, you know, when I'm like, I make our own cleaning products and I will put them, it's funny, I use like vinegar and water and then essential oil.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah, same.
And I will like decant it into you know, like a jug or something, and then because I'm even now, even after doing it for so long, I still think I am making a cleaning product, and for some reason I must have in my head or built into me that it's toxic, and that, you know, like I can't make it in the same jug that I might warm the milk in tomorrow, which is so silly, because actually it's just vinegar and water. Which is perfectly good for human consumption too.
I think it's just because you're worried, you still think that, oh gosh, I'm using that to clean.
Yeah.
It's got to be bad.
Are you looking for a delicious way to live a more sustainable and mindful life? Look no further, because I've got something special just for you. Introducing Riverford Organic, your gateway to fresh organic fruit and vegetable boxes delivered right to your doorstep. When you choose Riverford, you're not just eating organic, you're supporting an ethical business that believes in food that's good for the planet and your well-being. Eating organic means you're savouring food grown with care, free from harmful chemicals and absolutely bursting with flavour. By choosing Riverford, you're supporting a business that is committed to sustainability, is employee-owned and passionate about reducing food waste. Embrace the seasons with a rotating variety of fruit and vegetables, fresh, local and in harmony with nature. Riverford has been a game changer for our family, and I think it could be for yours too. There is nothing more exciting for me than grabbing my Riverford box off my doorstep on delivery day. But there's more. As a treat for you guys, you can enjoy a £15 credit towards your second order. Simply sign up at theslowlivingcollective.com/Riverford to claim your credit and start your journey towards healthier, ethical and more seasonal eating.
The glass door on your washing machine.
Yeah.
Still get the hard water on that, but since swapping washing powders, that's gone away as well.
Yeah, actually ours has gone away since we swapped washing stuff as well. And I do really want to make my own dishwasher tablets.
Ooh.
But I've not heard great things about people. I've never found anybody that says, oh yeah, I made them and they were really good. Everyone's like, yeah, I made them and they were very good. So
Oh, okay. I was going to say my washing powder was trial and error for about 6 months until I got it just right.
yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna have to do. We use the Eco Zero dishwasher.
Oh, okay.
And I know they're not perfect. They're also very expensive in comparison, and that's the problem with so much stuff, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Swapping it is, it can be a lot more expensive. I mean, I make our hand soap, I make our washing up liquid, which we don't use tons of because we have the dishwasher, and I make all of our cleaning products. So, but other stuff, it is, a little more difficult to factor in financially, and I think sometimes that holds people back, doesn't it?
That's what I was going to say. I think that does hold people back because I had like a lady ask about the price of my deodorant. So the deodorant price at £10. So yes, it does seem extravagant to go and spend that, but it lasts 4 to 5 months.
Yeah.
So when you factor in that way, it's obviously not a big expense, but that's the problem with a lot of these things. It's an investment for long term rather than just going and nipping and grabbing a £3 whatever products that you need.
Yeah. And like you say, it lasts for such a long period of time, and so often I think we think of like, oh my god, that's X amount of money, and then you're like, but actually over the course of a year I'm actually saving money. But our minds don't necessarily think that.
I mean, £3 or £2 for a deodorant when you just go shopping doesn't seem like a lot, but when you factor in that you've bought it twice in a month, that it just looks smaller.
Yeah, and I think I think often people are put off by the price because they feel like, oh, I'm gonna have to buy it the same amount of times.
Yeah,
and then it feels expensive, doesn't it?
But it's like cleaning products. I mean, the amount of times I go to B&M and buy like a flash spray or something because they were on £1, but they wouldn't last 5 minutes. They wouldn't last 5 minutes.
No, I know. And it's funny because when I'm usually the one that makes up the cleaning stuff, even though, it's super simple. My husband would if he had to. So people have often like, oh, I don't have the time to make it. And I'm like, it takes 2 seconds.
I was going to say, yeah. And the price of vinegar is so cheap.
Yeah, it takes less, it would take so much more time to actually, even if you had online shopping, to actually like log in and add a cleaning product to your shopping. Like it takes, once you figured out, I know how I make mine, once you've figured it out, once you've made it like once or twice and it's stuck in your head, like it's just like another little chore. It's like, right, I need to fill up the cleaning spray for the kitchen, so I'll do that next. And yeah, it is so easy. And those are the little things, aren't they, that can, actually make quite a big difference.
Yeah, I was going to say, because the main cost, I think, is cookware. If you're moving non-toxic from your general cookware, they are so expensive.
Yeah.
So expensive. But, I mean, I bought like a little Dutch oven and some, because I know Aldi had the cast iron.
Yeah.
And I managed to get a couple just because they are really, really expensive.
Yeah.
But I bought a stock pot, and this is going like 7 years ago, and I thought it was so expensive, but I've still got it now.
Yeah.
So it is an investment more than just something that you just buy on a regular. You don't tend to buy it regular.
Yeah, we had this casserole dish. It was actually my husband's before like we got together. Not before we got together, but before we moved in together. And it was really decent, like non-toxic. And I used to trip over the damn thing all the time. And I used to be like, because it would never fit in a cupboard when we first moved here, because we extended our kitchen. So it just used to stand on the floor. And I used to trip over it. And in the end, I was like, get that thing out of here. We were like, sent it down to the garage. And then we decided, we started this whole like path of, living a more low toxic lifestyle. I was going to get that casserole dish back up here, get it back. Now it's like pride of place. We've extended the kitchen. It's got its own cupboard.
Oh.
Yeah. So, but it's funny, like, how things come, full circle as well with stuff.
Yeah, it is.
But like cookware is so expensive, and I know that some of our cookware isn't ideal, but it's just
same.
having to just chip away at it bit by bit.
I was going to say, because moving non-toxic, it is what baby steps, really. It's change what you can change and stick to, more than try and change everything.
Yes, yeah. I mean, one of my friends, she's the same as me. She's always messaging me, and then she'd be like, I just got my IKEA order of all these jars and stuff. And then we're like, I'm meeting up with her soon, and I'm like, oh, I've got this book that you've got to, like, you must read. And she's just started swapping some of her like cookware and stuff over, and so it's like trial and error. So we're like sharing tips and stuff, because actually when you're spending a lot of money, you want to know, like, I don't mind spending X amount of money on this frying pan, but is it going to work?
Well,
good. So it's just like baby steps, really, and just slowly replacing things. And that's what we've done as well. Like, we obviously had like loads of plastic plates and stuff for the kids,
Tupperware boxes.
Yeah.
It's so much plastic. You don't realise how much there is.
I actually had we've got a big drawer in our kitchen, and it was like full of like Tupperware, and it was actually ended up one of those drawers that you're like, I really must sort that out. And not long ago I did sort it out, and my husband came down because he works from home, and so he came downstairs, and I was like, I've got all these Tupperware pots, and these are the lids that don't have pots, these are the pots that don't have lids. I'm like, I'm just gonna bin them all. And he was like, oh, we had lids for like these ones, like, are you sure they're not around? And I was like, they're plastic, let's just get rid of them, they're not, we're never going to use them. So I binned them all. And then next day, or the day after, it was a really short period of time, we've got like this very, very tiny little utility room, and I was in there, and I was like, oh, here are all the pots and the lids and stuff that I threw away yesterday. So that worked out well. So now they can go. It was a good decluttering exercise, but he was right. We did have the pots and the lids. They all did match. We would have had a lovely pot set. But
it's just mad, like, how much you do collect in your kitchen, especially plastic. A lot of plastic.
Yeah, so we had like plastic plates, like IKEA plates that for the
kids
use.
Yeah.
And you just think, like, in the end, I was like, we've got to get rid of this stuff and just bin it, and so we just, you know, and I know sometimes it's like, you know, not everybody has the money to just be like, oh, I'll just bin that, but you know, we actually went, we've got like a completely pure white dinner set that we got when we got married, and we just bought like a few extra like of the small plates because the kids don't really eat a small plate, and so we just we've broken a couple of those, so we're like, we'll just go to that Sainsbury's, we'll pick up a couple of plates, and you know, that's better for them than eating off of plastic. And you know, drinking out of, we changed our drink, like we all drink out of drinking bottles, the kids have drinking bottles, we changed those, we bought stainless steel ones,
but just silly little steps, like you don't realize over a long period of time how much you do actually change.
And it is those things, like if you looked at everything, be like, wow, that's like mega expensive to replace all of that, but actually you just do it slowly and, you know, a little bit at a time. You know, we changed, I think we've always eaten quite well, but you know, we grow our own stuff as much as possible, we buy organic as much as possible, and it's heavy on the shopping bill. It is heavy on the shopping bill, and it annoys me to some extent that to eat well you have to basically spend, you know, a lot of money. And listen, the farmers deserve paying just as much as well, so it's
no, I totally agree. Especially like keeping chickens, knowing the price of feed that's gone up over the last 2 years is just ridiculous. I mean, to be honest, a lot of my customers, I get them to return their egg boxes just so I can keep the price the same for everybody then, just because it is really hard on everybody with the price of everything going up. Same as finding local butchers, and I mean, like, I'm quite lucky, there's a game butcher quite local to me, but because he's on his own, he keeps his prices low. So eating fresh, and at least you can kind of like cut a little bit.
We buy our eggs we have a farm just around the corner from us, so we always buy our eggs there. We just buy like a big tray of like 30, and we'll get through like easy. Everybody loves eggs in this house, and so we'll go around there and buy them. We'll buy our honey there, and just try and stay away from, we're not stay away from the supermarket, but we're much more sort of intentional about what we use in the supermarket for.
I was going to say, I don't know about you, but like starting my journey, not realising what food as well, is just something so silly as, I mean, I've had to tell my customers that the ladies are on a break for the winter. A lot of people know that chickens have a break over the winter, and explaining that the eggs you buy are like months old, that they're not fresh. Something so silly that you think that would just be kind of like, you'd know. And they're like, well, why aren't they laying? And I was like, but I can get them at the supermarket. And I was like, yeah, but they're months old, they're not fresh.
And then when you know these things, you're like, yuck.
Yes, I mean, I pickle mine in pickling lime because it keeps them preserved for 12 months. So over the winter, at least we've still got eggs that last a little longer, because we do have a lot. I'm collecting them at this point, chickens.
But it's nice when, you know, if you've either got your own chickens, or you've got somewhere where you can get fresh eggs.
It's lovely.
You know
the difference.
And you know, like I haven't bought supermarket eggs in so long, and actually, so we were buying, prior to going to the farm, we were buying our eggs from the supermarket and getting organic eggs. But actually buying fresh eggs from the farm is actually a little bit cheaper than buying organic eggs, probably more expensive than just like regular eggs in the supermarket. But as far as I'm concerned, I would much rather have the fresh eggs than the supermarket eggs. And I've walked past like the eggs so many times. It's down the bacon aisle, and I've walked past them so many times, and you know, there's never any eggs. I'm like, why is there no eggs? And I have no idea that there was like some sort of shortage with eggs, farmers and whatnot, because I'm like, well, just go to the farm shop, because you can get trays of 30 up there. So Like, you don't need to
yeah.
fight. Like, it's like you couldn't have more than 2 boxes of eggs per customer or something. And I'm like, go to the farm shop.
Yeah. That we always, I was going to say, as a chicken keeper, they lay every day.
Yeah,
So you're going to have eggs.
yeah, the chickens are still laying, so there are eggs somewhere.
There was a lot, I think the farmers wanted a raise, like
Yeah,
fair price, which is totally
yeah,
understandable. The price of
yeah,
feed has gone up, so why not?
yeah, yeah,
So yeah.
absolutely. And yeah, it's just, I think there are lots of things you could do. We didn't have, we wouldn't, we live in a flat, so we couldn't keep chickens. I'm allergic to bees, so honey's probably off for me.
Yeah, I'm lucky. I think I've only been stung up once. Well, I was going to say my kids, they're quite good. I mean, I do talk about chickens or bees a lot because we keep them. So, and we named the queens after like musical artists. So we've got Whitney and Tina. And I mean, my first year, everything could have gone wrong. It doesn't matter if I did the course and everything went wrong. To now we've got 9. So, yeah. But knowing things like that, like the honey you buy from your supermarket is blended honey, and pasteurized, and none of the goodness that as a beekeeper that you get. So mine, we just sieve and straight in the jar. It's
Yeah,
whatever they've made.
yeah, and that's what we buy as well. Like, that's always our first preference, is
Yeah.
to have raw honey. Yeah, I just think, like, when you and I don't know anything about bees or beekeeping or honey to any extent whatsoever, but I I must have read somewhere like the best honey that you can have is obviously raw honey, but also that's made in your location if possible.
Yeah, so if you have allergies to certain plants, you will obviously, the bees will use those to make the honey. So whatever composition that is, your allergies are less because you're
Mhm.
actually getting that antibodies for that.
Yeah,
I mean, I do pollen as well, the bee pollen, like the
okay.
granules,
Yeah.
because I do make them bee pollen patties during the winter because a lot of people don't realise you'd still have to feed them through the winter just to make sure they're okay. And then obviously, because there's no flowers or anything like
Yeah,
that, to make sure they're all good. So that, and I only leave what they make. So I never take more as a beekeeper. Yeah, waste. It's no point. I want my hives to thrive. That's the whole point in keeping it. As
yeah.
well for the kids as well, because we at first we wanted just for us, but the beehive itself was making, well, it's getting too big. It was either trying to swarm to leave because there wasn't enough space.
Mm.
So splitting them, making 2,
Yeah.
made them thrive. So as you know, you carry on.
Yeah,
um,
amazing.
but I noticed as well, like we have less waste, and I don't know how you feel about that, but you try and reuse all your jars, moving away
Yeah,
from plastics and stuff like that. You find yourself more environmentally friendly
yeah.
than you were before.
Yeah, we actually made some elderberry syrup at my mum's, and I was mum was like, shall I recycle these jars? I was like, no, I'll take them home and I'll put them through the dishwasher because I am going to use them again. And
Yeah,
yeah, I end up like, that's actually probably the only thing that makes my kitchen like a tight space, is like I keep every jar and I'm like, I'll just put it in this cupboard, and in the end I'm like, some of you are going to have to go. Some of you have to go to recycling because there's not enough room.
room. Yeah,
So yeah, it is the thing that I probably collect the most of. But yeah, I reuse the jars all the time. I recently made jam. I love to make jam in the winter.
yeah.
So yeah, and I just think the whole thing just like sparks off like more stuff. Like when you start living, whether you come to it like I want to have less toxins in my skincare, or I want to eat better food, I think like one thing like sparks off the next thing, and before you
Yeah,
know it,
you're
you're going to
more
be making
mindful.
jam. Yeah, you're going to be
You
making
are.
jam. And
You
think the
are.
sourdough starter, it's happening.
I'm on day 5 on mine.
I was like, right, I will start my sourdough starter again because it had died off, and I was like,
Yeah.
we had like this, like, you know, just, you know, when life's like really busy and you're like, I kept thinking like, I must start my sourdough starter, and then I finally did it. I finally started it, and then we had to like go away, which wasn't planned, and then I forgot to feed my sourdough starter before I left, and then when I came back it was just like dead.
Oh no.
And it's like, you know, what are the chances of the one day I finally get round to it in like 5 months that that then I have to leave it? So I will start again. But I mean, I use my sourdough starter less for bread. I haven't got myself into the rhythm of making sourdough frequently, but I make it. I use the discard for loads, like pancakes and waffles.
Yeah, well, I have quite a few American customers and that follow me on Instagram, and she made cinnamon swirl sourdough. That's what started all this, and I was like, I need to make that. And then she was like, you have to make a starter, and I was like, right, that's it.
Yeah. I made sourdough discard crackers, and oh my goodness, they are amazing. The recipe's so simple as well, and then you like make it into a dough, roll it out, and literally I use like the pizza cutter and just to make it into squares, stick it in the oven, and it makes these tiny, you know, like the texture is like, you know, like a cheese biscuit, you know, like that
Okay.
crumbly sort of texture, and it is so good. I made like rosemary and salt, and oh, so good.
Oh, that's going to be on my list.
I'm gonna send you the recipe because it's so easy, and I can never keep them for a long period of time because I'll make them and then everyone's like, oh, I'll eat them, and I'm like, I want to get ahead.
I was going to say, yeah, usually that won't last long in my house.
Oh, it's so tasty. But also going back to skincare and stuff, we you know, I think now there is sort of more sort of out there that a lot of skincare stuff is a bit iffy and toxic, and I think people are sort of a bit more aware of it. What are some of the most common toxic ingredients to avoid that can really, you know, negatively affect our skin but also our health overall?
The main one I'd say is fragrance. I think that is probably the worst one, especially because even if it says fragrance free, it will still have fragrance.
Yeah.
If you turn it over and it says fragrance or perfume or whatever, it's got it in there. So it might not actually have a scent, but they use masking fragrances to get rid of the odors of some of the chemicals that are actually in there. So you might not want a scent in there for whatever allergies, but then realizing actually it's got it in there.
Yeah.
And it's so dangerous as well, because I mean, obviously in the UK, as fragrance can be hundreds of chemicals under one banner. Just because it's not regulated anywhere really. It's kind of a company recipe, so whatever they need, that either non-scented or scented to smell like, you don't actually know what's in it.
Yeah. And you know, even when you see things like natural fragrance, still loads of chemical compounds.
Yeah, and I think that is the worry, because you don't actually know what that chemical cocktail is. So even if you did have a reaction to it, you have no idea
Yeah.
what part of that skincare is actually affecting your skin, really. And especially because it's in everything. It's not just in your personal care, it's in all your candles, it's in all your cleaning products, it's in absolutely everything.
Yeah, and there's never a breakdown, is there? It's just like fragrance.
Fragrance, yes. Yeah. Which is why, I mean, with those endocrine disruptors in there, I mean, the fact that, you know, that happens, it's quite scary, especially for women. I mean, that affects hormones, and you could be having like acne, you could be having hair loss. There's numerous different things for hormone imbalance. And
Yeah.
it could just be that one silly thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's incredible actually. and scary, like we said, like when you really look into what's in skincare, you know, all of our cleaning products, candles, air fresheners, everything, food, you know, food, okay, might not have fragrance in it, but there's so much scary stuff in food that's, you know, just as bad. Yeah, when I had that Yucca app, I started like scanning things in the kitchen as well, and I was like, okay, maybe I should just let it go. We'll eat this and then we'll start afresh, because, you know, there is so much scary stuff in like shop bought food as well, and
there is.
It's so worrying. Like, yeah, it's something that, you know, like I'll pick things. Sometimes I just want convenience, and I don't mean like fast food or anything like that, but sometimes it would be nice to be able to pick up some crackers. So we avoid seed oils in our diet, and it would
same.
it would be so lovely to pick up a box of crackers that don't have seed oils in it. Like, as much as I enjoy making it, sometimes it would be nice to just go and buy it and not have to worry. But, you know, there's rubbish in everything. Like, I am a big fan of squash, and, you know, I would say I have better squash, but it costs an absolute fortune. And it's still not perfect by any means, but
especially if you wanted to step away from artificial sweeteners.
It's
in all the squash.
You cannot buy a good squash that has, you know, well, you cannot buy a good squash, period, I don't think. But, you know, there are some better ones than others, but it requires, you know, instead of like £1 a bottle, it's like £3 a bottle. I mean, I'm always like, they're on offer for £2.50, get them, to, you know, try and rein in the cost. But I don't like plain water. I'm working on it. I am working on it. It's sort of my last vice, and I suppose it's not a terrible one.
If you because I know you said that you got elderberry syrup, the flowers you can mix with honey and make elderberry cordial.
Yes, we made elderberry cordial. We made cordial. Take my daughter to farm school, and we did make cordial. So I will do that again. I will do that again. And it's those things. It's finding the things like, how can I make this naturally, and get, you know, the similar effect where I don't have to taste the water. And so just finding the time. Actually, everything has to be from scratch. And
I was going to say that I think that's a problem as well, because trying to do so many different things in our busy lives, like either work or parenting, just trying to find, oh gosh, I've got to find that extra half an hour to do this and this.
I'm often like, when I'm getting the kids to sleep at night, like my daughter will be asleep, but then I'm, you know, breastfeed my son to sleep, and while he's like, once he's fallen asleep, I'm like there on Pinterest on my phone, like you know, like looking up making cordial, like I've got boards that are filled with things that I need to attempt at some point. It would be nice if it was a little easier in terms of purchasing things, and you didn't. And food stuff changes up as well. We bought for a long period of time we were buying these noodles, just like plain, can't remember what noodles they were, but just plain noodles. I think they were udon noodles, and the ingredients were like perfect. You know, sometimes you find some miracle
hidden gem.
Like, yes, there's nothing nasty in this. And then I went back and checked, I don't know how, maybe 6 months later, now they have rapeseed oil in them, and I'm like, oh, for how long have they had rapeseed oil in them and we haven't checked? And it's like, you almost have to check every time.
Everything.
And it's, you know, it's just like, why it didn't need the rapeseed oil in it. I don't know what the difference is.
I mean, sometimes you think, is it cost? Is it, or is it to keep it longer?
Yeah, there's a lot of preserving that goes on, isn't there? It's funny. I was at my mum's on the weekend, and she got some fresh bread from like Morrison's bakery, I think, and then on the label it obviously has the ingredients, and I'm like, how many ingredients in your fresh bread? Like, how many?
Especially when you start making it and knowing that there's really nothing in it.
I'm like, I chuck it on. So we predominantly will use our bread maker because that's easier for us, you know.
Yeah.
My kids are very small, and I would like to try and get better into just figuring out a routine where I could do sourdough once I get my starter moving. But we predominantly will chuck it into the bread maker and do a loaf in there, and it's like there is no ingredients to that.
No,
It's hardly
there really isn't.
yeah, and then I'm looking
Yeah.
at this ingredient and it's got this ingredients on this bread from the bakers, and I'm like, there's no bread in there, you know, like
No.
the basic ingredients are just dwarfed by everything else. And like you would think that, oh, well, that's fresh bread, that's lovely, that's fine, but actually,
Yeah. But I think as well, like, we take it for granted, especially when we bake bread, it's only good for a couple of days.
yes,
But the loaf you buy from the supermarkets has got 2 weeks date on it.
yeah.
And I think we take that for granted that if you do bake it at home, you have to keep baking it.
So when people are searching for sort of more natural, toxic free skincare and products, what tips do you have? And you know, I guess people often ask like, oh well, is it going to be as good as Nivea or whatever, something like that?
Yeah.
So what tips do you have for people?
Check for transparency. Your label on the back is going to have exactly what's in it. Yeah, we're lucky in the UK that we have to put it on our labels exactly what's in there, and we do have, like, our skincare, you have to have a cosmetic safety report for it. So if it's not something that you want to put on yourself, it's going to be on there, especially as your first ingredient is going to be what's mostly in there.
Yeah.
And then you work your way down. So anything that you think you're allergic to or you know will cause harm, especially with that Yucca app, it does give you a list of allergens or anything that can affect your skin. It kind of like, you just know that probably isn't going to be great for you.
Yeah.
I mean, our skincare, like my skincare, I do put tallow in there. There is beeswax, and I know that's not for everybody. But the reason why I do choose it is, one, it's readily available. There is meat on the shelf, so that is going to be always a byproduct.
Yeah.
And I'm all for using everything that is
Yeah.
available, even if it is classed as a waste product, and it is closest to our skin. So you're not going to get a reaction from something that is you, basically.
Yeah.
So about feeding your skin, really, and all the ingredients that we use are all natural. You can eat it. So if you can eat it,
Yeah.
it's on your skin. When you think of it like that, if it's safe enough to eat, it's safe enough to be putting on your skin.
Yeah, absolutely.
But like I said, I know a lot of people don't like the idea of using those particular ingredients, which, you know, you've got to pick what's good for your skin as well. And that, like you said, that Yucca app is absolutely brilliant for that.
Yeah.
The other one is understanding your ingredients. If you don't know what it is, have a look.
Yeah.
That is a big one. Even natural ingredients, if you're not sure, there's no harm in finding out. And then that's also a personal preference then. Also make it yourself. I know that sounds really silly, but DIY options are always a great thing to figure out what works for you and what doesn't.
Yeah.
Because then if you didn't get time, you could at least look for products that have those ingredients in.
Well, it's been so fun having you on the podcast and diving into all of the low toxic living, and I know we could probably talk forever.
I was going to say, it's been lovely.
So
it
for
really has.
our listeners who want to stay in touch with you, where can they find you online?
The website is www.kayleathome.com, and we are on Instagram. So just pop a message. We do blog pages, anything. Yeah. just reach out, really.
Excellent. And I will put all the links in the description as well, so people can just click through and find you.
Oh, brilliant.
Thank you so much for coming on. It's been an amazing chat. I love talking about all of this stuff.
Yes, it was lovely. Thank you for having me.
You are more than welcome.
Oh my goodness, that was just such an amazing conversation with Kayleigh. Be sure to check her out and everything she does and shares over on Instagram. You can follow me over on Instagram. I am there at The Slow Living Collective. You can check me out on Substack, which is theslowlivingcollective.substack.com, and you can find me also at theslowlivingcollective.com as well. So thank you guys so much for listening to another episode, and I will catch you all in the next one.